So I'm making today's video in very uncertain times in terms of the Football League. We have no idea when the Football League is going to be started and what's going to be done with it if it cannot be fixed. We don't even know what's going to happen with next season with 2020-21 and how that is going to end up as well. Whilst we live in these uncertain times, we need to make some more content on this channel. So what I thought we'd do today would be the second video of my top 10 series, and I got a great suggestion in the comments by Sidru of doing a top 10 of each championship position. And today I thought I'd focus on probably the most important position on the pitch, the goalkeeper. For me, strikers define the tempo of the game, but for me, goalkeepers determine outcomes of games. For me, it's the most important position on the pitch. That's why I decided to do that position first. So obviously I picked 10 goalkeepers who I think deserve some recognition and in my top 10 championship goalkeepers for the 2019-2020 season. Obviously there's going to be some goalkeepers that I missed out that probably should deserve to be in there. There are quite a few keepers that I was a bit sad not to include on this list, but hey-oh, it's only 10 and I've got to pick the 10 best in my opinion. So obviously this is only my opinion. What I'm really interested to know, what is your opinion? What's your top 10 best goalkeepers for this season? And in terms of your club, what do you think of your goalkeeper this season? Would you say they've had a great season? Would they say they've saved you games? Or would you say they've had a pretty poor season and their mistakes have kind of cost you a few games? So I'm really interested to know in the comments down below. As always, if you like want to see more championship content, please make sure you do give this video a like. It is tremendously appreciated. I appreciate the support I got on my last video, by the way, so thank you guys for that. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done, or if you're new out here. All of that would really make my day. And please share this video and this channel to as many people as you would like. All of that would really make my day. But without any further ado, let's cover the top 10 goalkeepers for this year. So I'm going to start off by going through a few honourable mentions, a few goalkeepers that I feel a little bit sad not to include. First one being Dillian Phillips. For me, he had a fantastic start. He would have been in the running for the best goalkeeper based on Charlton's very strong start. However, since Charlton have plummeted, he has been a little bit more mistake prone, which is why I've not included him. The same could go for George Long as well. He's had a fantastic start and had some brilliant moments in Hull City's goal. He was absolutely terrific when Chelsea played against them in the FA Cup game. I saw it as a Chelsea fan and I was like, wow. But unfortunately, George Long as well has been more mistake prone and Hull have ultimately suffered for it. Bartosz Białkowski for me was probably the biggest omission. He was so close to being in my top 10. For me, because he's done so much in the Championship already, you know, he's really got really high standards. Kieran Westwood's another one who I think had a really strong season last season, but unfortunately injury has really contributed for him not being that good this season, unfortunately. But I think that's all the omissions of the goalkeepers that I would say not to include in this list. But with any further ado, let's actually start this top 10. So for the 10th place, for the 10th best goalkeeper, for me is Christian Walton of Blackburn Rovers. Christian Walton's a little bit of an experienced goalkeeper. He's played a little bit with Brighton, he's played a little bit with Wigan. He actually was Wigan's #1 goalkeeper last year. Still very young keeper in the age of 24, which is why he's been passed around at a few clubs. I think eventually he'll find a permanent club that he will stick to. But I have to say this season, Christian Walton I think has done pretty well. He's had 3 man of the match performances. I remember him being absolutely terrific when Blackburn were away against Hull at the KCOM. He saved a penalty and he ultimately kept Blackburn in the game, and Armstrong managed to score the only goal in that game, and Blackburn got a very much needed 3 points away from home, and Christian Walton was the main contribution to why Blackburn won this game. As I said, goalkeepers define results, they define games, and that was a clear moment of that. I also remember his long-range assist against Brentford. Not many goalkeepers have actually had assists this season. Christian Walton's one of the rare few that's actually had an assist for Brentford this season. For me, sometimes he doesn't really get the credit he deserves, but when he's called upon, Christian Walton is reliable. So that's why he's in my top 10. So the 9th best goalkeeper for me has to be Declan Rudd of Preston North End. Preston are in a much improved position than they normally are in recent seasons. And I have to say, Declan Rudd is one of the main contributions to that, because I remember Declan Rudd last year, who was barely finding his feet in Preston's goal. He was previously at Norwich, and when Alex Neil came in, that was one of the signings Alex Neil made to bring Declan Rudd in from Norwich. Declan Rudd, I think, has been very important this season, keeping Preston at a few games. I do remember the Leeds game. He was very important in trying to keep Preston head to head with Leeds, and in fact were undefeated against Leeds for the whole season. Swansea in particular, when it was a 1-1 draw at Deepdale, I think Rudd was also terrific in that game as well, keeping the likes of Selena, Ayew quiet. He was absolutely insane for that game. I have to say he's really moved on as well from that dreadful howler we don't speak of from last year against Birmingham. Rudder stepped up completely, and I think he's really earned his place playing every single game for Preston this season. One of the few goalkeepers that have actually played every single game for their club this season. 8th place for the list for me is Brice Samba. I really struggled to rate this guy because I have to say, when I've seen him live, Brice Samba for me is one of the best. But I'm talking about consistency, and sometimes he does have the odd howler now and again. But I have to say, for what I've seen, especially in the highlights reel that I saw quite recently, Brice Samba is really good. It was a really good buy from Lamucci, getting him from League 2 side 10. I think that's how you say his name, C-A-E-N. Both games against Millwall, I thought Brice Samba was very, very important. But I have to say, the standout game for me was when Forest played against Fulham away from home at Craven Cottage, when Nottingham Forest actually managed to beat Fulham away from home. Brice Samba was the main reason why Nottingham Forest won that game. It was a big win for Forest at the time, in trying to make a statement for the top 6. He also was terrific against Wigan as well, where he managed to save a penalty from Josh Windass as well. 2 man of the match performances as well. I have to say, Brice Samba has had a terrific year. If he didn't have as many howlers as he did, he would have been a little bit higher, but I have to say he's been a very positive addition to Nottingham Forest's side, moving on from Costa Pantinamonov last year. So the 7th place goalkeeper for me is Daniel Bentley. Now, Daniel Bentley didn't have a really strong year last year with Brentford. I think he's been one of the more criticised players for Brentford, but when he joined Bristol City, I think it has to be regarded as one of Bristol City's most important players. Thing is, with Bristol City, they play a very unique style of play. Nee Johnson has a really unique style of play, and it does cause a load of the opposition to have a load of shots. With a match rating of 6.75 from WhoScored.com as well, he's a very consistent goalkeeper. I only remember him being a little bit poor when against Brentford, where he parried the ball straight at Ben Rama, where he managed to score. But he's made 109 total saves. Actually one of the highest amounts of saves, but as we move further up the list, we've actually seen goalkeepers that have actually made more saves than Bentley, but with 3 saves per game, that's absolutely terrific, especially for a side like Bristol City where they've got high expectations, and Daniel Bentley has stepped up tremendously in my opinion. 6th place on the list for me is David Raya Martin of Brentford. David Raya for me, I think, is very underrated, doesn't really get talked about at all, but I have to say, Brentford conceding the 2nd least goals of the game. David Raya has got a huge reason from that. He's had 1 man of the match performance as well. I have to say, I remember where he was playing for Brentford against Blackburn. He stopped about 2 1-on-1 moments with Blackburn, and if he had not saved both of those, Blackburn would have probably won by 4 or 5 against Brentford. When he's called upon, David Raya is so reliable. He rarely makes mistakes. I do remember him, he has made a few mistakes. I think back to where he parried the ball where Brentford played against Cardiff, I think. And there have been occasions where I think Raya could have improved his handling. But when he's called upon, he's made a load of reflex saves. I have to say, I was a little bit in the midst whether if I was a fan of that signing for Brentford. But he's been one of the most important signs for Brentford. He's really transformed the defensive line, and that is why Brentford are having a fantastic season. The top 5 could literally be anyone in this list. I really struggled with the top half of the table, but in 5th place for me is Freddie Woodman. Now for me, he could literally be as high as 2nd place or as low as 10th, because he's the youngest goalkeeper in this list with 23 years of age. So he's going to be a little bit inconsistent, but you cannot look at the stats. With 3 penalty saves, the most by any Championship goalkeeper, 2 man of the match performances as well, and you have to say, when Swansea were fantastic at the start of the season, Freddie Woodman was the main player for that. I remember his first penalty save against Derby, he was absolutely terrific. He's a very new keeper, as I said, not very experienced in the Championship level, but I have to say, it's one of Steve Cooper's most positive signings for me, and I do hope that he gets another chance next season with Swansea, because I think he's a very, very promising goalkeeper. As I said, 3 penalty saves. No other goalkeeper has made more than 1 penalty save. He's saved 2 more penalties more than any other goalkeeper, which is absolutely insane. His distribution is also quite good. He's made a few mistakes. I think back to when Hull and Swansea had played at 4-4 draw, for Freddie Woodman was quite poor in that game. But I have to say, apart from that, I think Freddie Woodman has been very strong, quite reliable for Swansea, and I hope to see more of him in the future because I think he's a fantastic talent. 4th place in the list for me is Kiko Casilla. Now, if the stats tell you anything, he should be very close to the top, especially as Leeds are in 1st place right now. But If he were to improve his game management, to improve his mentality in games at times, because sometimes he does crazy rash things that could really put you on edge sometimes. You could argue it's bravery, but at the same time it could be ludicrousy for what he does as well. But when Casilla gets it right, he gets it right, and you should expect that for him for playing a little bit with Real Madrid as well. He's had one man of the match performances. He's had one of the best pass success rate percentages of any goalkeeper with 80.5%. I don't believe actually any other goalkeeper's got over 80%, so he's clearly very strong with his passing and distribution on the ball. He's only conceded 30 goals, the less from any first choice goalkeeper as well. You have to say, Casilla, I think, has had a few rash moments in the season and moments he'd want to forget, but in the most part, Leeds are up there because Casilla stepped up, and I think he's improved his mentality, he's been more sensible, and he's been one of Leeds' best players. I have to say that. Third place on the list for me is an underrated goalkeeper. I have to say it's Cabral of Reading. For me, I've seen this guy live a couple of times, and he makes one of the best acrobatic saves and reflex saves that I have ever seen, like ever, not just in the Championship as well. 3.4 saves per match, and has actually made the most total saves from a first choice goalkeeper for 120. He's made 11 more saves than Daniel Bentley in Bristol City, where Bristol City tend to concede the most shots per game. And Reading, whilst they've been a little bit inconsistent, when Reading have been very strong in form, Cabral has been the one that stepped up and has actually elevated Reading to their reasonable position. And when you bear in mind with Reading, they've been really poor from the past 2 seasons, finishing 20th 2 seasons in a row. And the fact that Reading are pretty comfortable mid-table territory now, you've got to thank Cabral for that. He's been an absolute revelation, along with the likes of Ejaria, Mate having a great season as well. But Cabral deserves a special mention because I don't think he gets mentioned enough. A very underrated goalkeeper, great reflex saves and acrobatic saves. Really a big fan of this guy in goal. For me, he's third place. So the top 2 goalkeepers, for me, second place goes to Sam Johnstone. Obviously a very experienced Championship goalkeeper, played with Preston, played with Aston Villa, and is now playing with their Midlands rivals in West Brom. And Sam Johnstone does what Sam Johnstone does, very solid and relatively consistent for most of the season. He's not put the best performances, although West Brom have been so good this season. Sam Johnston's not really been called upon as many times as normal. He's had 2 man of the match performances though, where he's really needed to step up when West Brom are already put under pressure. 98 saves as well, which actually, funny enough, is 28 more saves than Casilla all season. He's also saved a penalty as well, where not many goalkeepers have saved penalties this season as well. Sam Johnstone has just had an average season for me. He's not really stepped up, but he's done what he's done, and when he's been called upon, he's not been under pressure. He's made a couple mistakes, but for me, he's been really good this season. But I already know that from Sam Johnstone. He's a very experienced Championship goalkeeper. But with his performance alone, West Brom deserve to be where they are. And it'll be interesting if West Brom go to the Premier League, whether they'll stick with Sam Johnstone goal, because I think he could be very capable for the Premier League level. So finally, the top goalkeeper for me is Marek Rodak. He's actually played in the Championship before with Rotherham. And actually, for me, he was Rotherham's top 3 best players that season, where Rotherham only just got relegated. And Rotherham stood a chance for survival, actually, with a very weak squad, because Marek Rodak was so good in that Rotherham goal. And he's taken that, and he's had to fight for his place to be the number 1 goalkeeper as well. And when you have to fight your place to be number 1, you've got to really prove to the manager that you're the one that they need to stick to. And Marek Rodak has done that tremendously. Now, I remember when Marek Rodak had a complete howler for Fulham when they played against Barnsley, where he made 2 errors leading to goal. But Marek Rodak immediately in the next game just stepped up and was just so professional. I believe it was against Swansea, one of the tougher teams. It was a stronger team than Barnsley, but he stepped up tremendously. And Marek Rodak, for most of his season, has really stepped up, and he looks very comfortable on the ball, making loads of reflex saves. I remember a fantastic save he made against Stoke as well. 2 man of the match performances as well. And the way that Fulham like to play, sometimes their defence can be exposed. But Rodak has really stepped up well, really taken the pressure, fought for his place to be number 1, where Betteleni was originally going to be ahead of him. And for me, for what I see, in terms of the journey he's been on, for where he's had to fight for his place for number 1, the saves he has made, and the terrific mentality he has as well. That for me allows Marek Rodak to be the best goalkeeper for the Championship this 2019-2020 season. But of course, that's only my opinion. What I'm really interested in, what is your top 10 goalkeepers of this season? And what do you think of your personal club's goalkeeper this season? Do you think they've had a good season? Do you think they've had a poor season? Let me know in the comments down below. But I think that wraps it up for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys want me to cover another position on the pitch and give you my top 10 for that, let me know what position you'd want me to cover next in the comments down below. But as always guys, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys like what you see, please make sure you do give this video a like. It is tremendously appreciated. Please subscribe if you haven't done it, or if you're new, I tell all about it would really make my day. And please share this channel if you can to as many people as you like. All of that would really make my day. It really would. But thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary if you saw the end of this video. By the way, thank you for the response I got last video, by the way. It was very heartwarming. And as always, take care.